3, 2. Hello, everybody. While you're coming in, let's just make sure that the chat is open and available and unblocked for everyone to get welcomed into the room. Super excited about today's webinar. We're going to talk about business journeys as a rapid transformational therapist. We're going to talk a lot about Elise's journey in particular. She's an amazing person. I'm sure a lot of you have seen her on our various content channels across the interwebs. Wow, we've already got our first raised hand. That's really exciting. We're going to be talking a lot about business in particular. So what does it look like to actually start a rapid transformational therapy business on your own? What are, the pros and the cons of doing it in certain ways? And yeah, we'll just discuss best practices all around. It's going to be really exciting. Where's everybody from in the chat? Go ahead and hit me with the location you're dialing in from today. I'm here in Austin, Texas. We got Miami, Saudi Arabia. Wow, Saudi Arabia is tuning into the business one. This is exciting. Sweden, Ireland, Fort Lauderdale, Maryland, Odessa, India, Alaska, Croatia, Hawaii, Saskatchewan. Love that word, Saskatchewan. Denmark, Bulgaria, Miramar, Iran, Cork, Norwich, Copenhagen, Australia, Romania, Michigan, Netherlands, Rio, Malaysia, Dubai. Wow, we've got some people who are staying up real late to hear this one. They must be so excited to hear all your best practices, Elise.
Hey, welcome everybody.
Yeah, do we have any grads, RTT therapists here on the Zoom today? Any RTCs, maybe coaches on here today? Got India, Houston. I grew up in Cyprus. Yeah, we've got some grads here, South Africa. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. So let's get into it. So today we're going to talk about the journey of building a business as a rapid transformational therapist. If you take clients under any capacity, I'm sure it's going to be useful to hear not just Elise's story, but as we sort of talk about what she's found to be successful, what we see a lot of our successful graduates doing. And we could talk all about how we incorporate education like this into the program itself. But without any further ado, let's get into it. So Elise, why don't you tell them a little bit about what your life was like before getting into rapid transformational therapy?
Okay, so before I became an RTT therapist, my background was working in PR and marketing agencies for, more years than I'd like to admit, about 20 years. And while I really enjoyed elements of that job, I always felt like it wasn't really my life purpose. I kind of got caught up in it because I left university with a degree in psychology. And I thought, I want to do something like therapy or counseling. But I was 21. I was very naive. I'd led quite a sheltered life. And I just thought, how can I possibly help anybody else or be a therapist when I've got no life experience whatsoever? So fast forward 20 years, and I suddenly had a plethora of life experience, lots of experience to share with other people and lots of empathy to share with others, and was really kind of back on that mission to kind of go and help people. So I kind of fell into working in PR. But I just knew it wasn't the life for me. I wasn't satisfied in my workplace. I was very frustrated, and I actually spent many years in kind of a spiral of anxiety because it was quite high pressured. Because even though when you think about the world of PR, you don't think about it being an intense job, there was a lot of pressure on you to make money for the business. There was a lot of pressure on you to, be the best, to be bigger, to be better. And it was quite a harsh and very backbiting world to work in. And at that time, I would say I was quite an introverted character as well. I certainly wasn't, the sort of person that I am now. I was very introverted, and I actually almost painted on a front to do the job. So I was putting on this big, face of successful PR lady, and being very like in new business pitches and pitching all these ideas and looking very confident. But actually inside, I wasn't at all. I was a ball of nerves, a ball of anxiety. And I just felt like a fish out of water, completely in the wrong place. To the extent where I think I got to a stage where I was thinking, I don't even know who I am anymore because I'm just pretending to be this character that I wasn't. And that was really difficult for me because I actually kind of lost sight of who I was as a person and actually my dreams for what I wanted to do and what I felt my purpose was. So that's kind of like where it all started. And then like I say, I kind of spent quite a few years working in that highly pressurized environment, to the point where I was very, very burnt out, very, very stressed, but I didn't tell anybody. Sorry, skip
Has
moving there.
anyone else, yeah, has anyone else here on the Zoom experienced that before? Have you ever experienced burnout? Or have you ever been in a job where it was, paying the bills, or it was the way that you were succeeding in life at that point, but just you knew it wasn't for you? Anybody else? Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people here. Oh, Rebecca says she's burnt out right now. Oh, well, I hope that gets better. Lisa still recovering from burnout. So a lot of people. Yeah.
It
Oh,
is,
and we've
and
got one here.
I think the thing is as well is that people just get on with it. They just try and push themselves more and more because they think, no, I can't speak out about this. This is my job. I've got to hold it all together. I've got to just carry on. I've got to pay my bills. And actually you push your needs to the side because you're like, no, I just need to get on with it. And everybody else is swimming and seems to be doing really well. So why am I? Why aren't I? Because that was definitely me. I didn't tell anybody ever that I was struggling. I was a complete workhorse. I couldn't say like no at work when, people knew that I was reliable. They knew that I would get things done. And that's what I did. And, I didn't want to let people down. I've always, since I was a child, been very much like a people pleaser. And I thought, I can't let people down. I just have to carry on and push through this. But burnout is really, really, really serious. And being stressed at work, particularly for long periods of time, is really not good for you. And I found that out the hard way. So that's why when I'm seeing so many people now kind of commenting that they're struggling at work, please heed my words and just stop and take note and reflect, and don't just push it aside because, I'll talk a little bit about this in the moment, but really having put myself under such stress and pressure for about 5 years, it actually led me to develop a chronic health condition, which completely changed my life and made me have to turn my life around.
Yeah. If you don't deal with it, your body will, right?
It's exactly that. It's exactly that. It's, you can only push down your emotions so much that eventually they have to have an avenue to come out. And that's, in my practice now, and I'll talk about this later, I work with a lot of people with chronic health conditions as well. And a lot of it's the same. It's kind of, they push down their emotions, they push down their feelings, they push aside that stress and actually then develop physical health conditions as a result of that. So, don't get to that point. If you're feeling like that right now, just stop and look at things that you can change in your life. And I know it's not easy because if like me, I was like, well, I need to pay my bills and I need to do this. And, I can't just give up my job, but there are ways and there are means, to make changes in your life.
And it's so common. And I've heard, I'm kind of like prefacing what we're going to get into later already. So I'm doing a little Tarantino on everybody here, which is talking about what we're going to say in 30 minutes, but I'm going to do it right now, just a touch. And I see a lot of people in the chat, and I've spoken to so many of our therapists and our coaches about this. And it's so often they actually have a job that they love or a job that they're passionate about, but only doing that is really tricky, or they don't necessarily have a tool set to recovering, to taking away those feelings of burnout, to having a healthier perspective on the things they do, or relying entirely on that career is really stressful in itself. So I know a lot of people that are a therapist and a coach and have their job, which is a little bit about what you do now, but let's get to that later. So what did you do? So you found yourself in this burnout, you got diagnosed with a pretty serious condition. And what was the journey from there for you?
So for a couple of years after that, I obviously had to give up my job then because there was no way that I could function in that role. So I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, and it basically affected me cognitively and sensory. So my brain, my memory was really, really bad. Some days my brain fog was so bad that I could barely string a sentence together. Fatigue that I was experiencing meant that some days I could barely lift my head off the pillow. I had a young boy, like a young child at the time. So I was struggling to kind of look after him. So it meant my whole life kind of had to change. But in a way, now it's strange actually, because I'm really thankful for it, because actually I wasn't listening to my own body at the time. I kind of stopped. I had to stop. It made me stop. It made me stop, and it made me reflect on what I was going to do next. And I actually spent a couple of years though before that just in a complete spiral of anxiety and depression, because I thought that was my life over. I kind of gave up. I was a bit like, everywhere I looked, there were stories of people with MS, and it was the worst case scenario. It was people getting gradually worse. The doctors told me that I would get gradually worse and to prepare myself for that. But for now, to just celebrate the periods of time where I was well. And so I listened to that. I took it in, I absorbed it. And that was my life for about 2 years until I started work. My son went to nursery, and I suddenly found myself on my own for long periods of time at home. And it was making things worse. And I thought, I can't continue like this. I have to at least do something, at least to show my son that, I'm trying and that I haven't just given up, because I didn't want him to grow up seeing his mum just deteriorating, mentally as well as physically. So I actually began really bizarrely just working in network marketing, which, I think a lot of people have very mixed views on network marketing. But for me, the biggest thing that I got out of that was that they have this really big focus on personal development and self-development, because obviously they help you to set up a business, and they want you to be successful in it. So they give you the kind of confidence and the training that you need to be able to do that. And they sort of told you the books to sort of read and suggested YouTube videos. And that's really where I was introduced to Marisa. And they were like huge Marisa fans. And they were like, you've got to watch this video, subscribe to her YouTube channel. It's amazing. And everything that you can listen to there is gold. And it absolutely was. And I have to say, that first day that I listened to one of Marisa's YouTube videos, and it was about healing your body and healing your mind. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, this is like she's speaking directly to me. And suddenly it was like I saw that there was light at the end of the tunnel, and that maybe I could change things, because everything that she was saying was massively resonating with me. And it really was that video that set me on my kind of journey then to healing and getting myself well from MS and being where I am today. Because if I look back to 6-7 years ago now, I was a shadow of myself. I wouldn't be able to talk to you now like this, because my brain would be all confused and I wouldn't be able to get the words out. I would be probably falling asleep, to be fair, because I was just so exhausted with fatigue. And so yeah, it was amazing. It was this turning point in my life where I thought I can get myself well again. And that started me on the mission to getting myself well and researching how to do that. And one of the ways that I looked into was obviously because the more stuff I watched about Marisa and RTT, the more I thought maybe RTT could work for me. And that's kind of what introduced me to the world of RTT, really, seeing Marisa and then deciding maybe an RTT session could help me. And oh my gosh, it transformed everything, because that, and I did other things as well. I was doing lots of work on myself, lots of other healing work on myself and using other healing modalities. But RTT for me changed everything, because it got to the root cause of why MS came into my life, and also why I felt the need to push myself so hard at work that, eventually I made myself ill. And it unpicked all of these things that consciously I'd probably just like pushed away and pushed away and pushed away. And suddenly it was rooting up all these weeds. And then it was like this huge turning point in my life where I suddenly started to be well. And I was on this brilliant journey to feeling generally better, feeling more energized, definitely feeling, much more like I had much more clarity. My memory improved. And the more that I was seeing improvements, the more I was using Marisa's different meditations and things to get myself to different points, because there were lots of different elements. And you do find that with physical health conditions as well. I find that a lot in my practices. It's not just the one core physical condition that you're dealing with. It's all the emotional stuff that goes with it. It's the confidence that you lose if you have a chronic health condition. And it's the other things that go with it. It's the symptoms that go with it as well. So there's a lot to it. But RTT completely and utterly transformed my life. And I remember thinking, why are more people not using this? Why are more people not using this? Because I was in support groups with people who were in absolute despair. And I was thinking, there's help out there. Look, there's light at the end of the tunnel. So I decided that I needed to do something about that as my little personal mission, I guess.
Yeah. And to give a little overview real quick, because the next question I'm going to ask, I feel like this context is important. But for those of you who don't know a lot about what RTT is, or Rapid Transformational Therapy, it's an entirely new technique that compiles lots of different therapeutic techniques that have existed in the world for the last couple hundred years. So talk therapy is a part of it, as part of the intake form. If you didn't see the 13 tools, which there's actually 16 tools, workshop and webinar that we did a couple weeks ago, it goes over all of the different tools within RTT. But you can imagine that talk therapy is a part of it. The reason why talk therapy is not a huge part of RTT, or this particular modality that is incredible and completely revolutionary for therapy, the reason it's not the huge part of it is because that only deals with the conscious mind. And so what Marisa has done over these last, 35 years is compiled what she's found to be the most profound and most impactful techniques all into a system that a rapid transformational therapist is trained on how to use. And then our entire school, which is about 35 people that teach and train on how to use these particular modalities in the correct order, in the correct fashion, and really train you on practicing how to use these tools with clients. And what's important about that is each of those tools has something a little bit different that they bring to a session or to your experience. And as you're learning how to use those tools, you're getting practiced on by others and you're practicing on yourself all the time and realizing what's happening. So that's what rapid transformational therapy is it's a series of different tools. So think of it as like gaining 16 different tools to use in this rapid transformational therapy professional practice. And so, Elise, when you started getting into RTT, you were in the corporate world, you were working in central London. Did you have concerns about business? Did you have concerns about your financial future as you were recovering from MS?
Yeah, absolutely. Because at that time, obviously, I had to give up my job. So my financial situation was not in a good place at that time. And I knew that I needed to go out. And eventually, as I started to get well, I thought I need to go out and get a job and do something now because I have to. I'm a single mum to a 10-year-old. And I knew that I needed to do something next. But I also knew that I could not go back to that world because that world broke me. And I didn't want it to break me again. And there was a fear in my mind, actually, that even though I'd got myself well again, if I returned to that, I would just end up in the same position.
So once you started doing the training, you had never had your own business before, correct?
No. So basically, no. I kind of like played around with network marketing for a while, but I didn't really build it as a business. I more just did it for the confidence building, basically, and I did well out of it. But it wasn't like running your own business, really. So even though I, had worked in this corporate environment, setting up my own business, my gosh, it was like terrifying to me because I'd never done anything like that before. But I knew I knew I needed to learn the skills to do that. And actually, just to kind of go back, I started doing the training during lockdown after probably about a year of me going, I won't be able to do this. I won't have the confidence to do it. Will I have the clarity of mind to be able to speak to clients? Will I be able to help people? And I really doubted myself for probably about a year before I took the leap. And then it was because, lockdown happened. And I thought, right, okay, well, I can't really go out now and get myself a job in the physical world. So what can I do productively with my time? And I just sold my house. And I just thought, this just seems like, the universe is saying to me, here's the funds to do it. It's now or never and go and do it. So I spent kind of, probably about 10 months of my lockdown time doing the course and I absolutely loved it. And I actually think doing the program got me through lockdown as well, because we were like a little support group for one another, because everybody was in the same boat, but we were joining these virtual classrooms, we were doing the practice sessions together. And it's like a little family when you're in a little cohort of people and you're all learning together. You are like in a little family. And I was very nervous to start with, because even though I kind of worked on myself a lot in terms of anxiety, I still had little anxious moments. But it was quite reassuring because everybody was in the same boat. So you turn to a virtual classroom and I'd be like, oh my gosh, I'm a little bit nervous, but I'll go first. And everyone was saying the same thing. And as soon as that happened, it was like everybody just, like, and breathe, because you were all there for one another. And I loved that camaraderie, especially, I was living in my little bubble at the time. I was living in Glasgow, and I was kind of stranded in this flat in Glasgow and, feeling very isolated from the world, just me and my son. So having this little RTT family and having these live sessions with Marisa was just amazing. And I really think it did help me a lot during lockdown as well, to have that positive focus and to know that at the end of it, I was going to have, a business to build. But at that point, when I first started, I thought, I'm worried about the kind of business bit at the end, but I knew that support was coming. So I just focused on the learning. And I would say that when you, sign up for the program, really focus on the learning first. And just focus on that and don't worry about the future, because that comes with the program later on, and you get so much support towards the end of the program, but also when you graduate as well. So focus on the learning. That would be my advice, actually. Focus on the learning first, and the rest comes with it.
Yeah. So then once you graduated, what did it feel like to start your business? How long did it take you to start your business? Were you one of those people that got right into it, or?
At first, I procrastinated a little bit. So I think I graduated in the November, and then I launched my practice in the January. So I've been running my practice, it'll be 3 years in January. So I procrastinated a little bit because I'm one of these people that's like, oh no, I should have everything in order all at once, and I should have a website built, and I should have a Facebook, and I should have this, and I should have this. And then I just thought, what am I doing? Actually, I'm just delay tacticking because, I'm like, oh gosh, can I do this? Can I do this? When actually, the best time to start anything is right now. Instead of being like having everything perfect and everything lined up, just go for it. And that's exactly what I did. Eventually, I thought, why do I need a website straight away? Why do I need this? I already kind of built a bit of a following through Facebook from my network marketing world. So I thought, why am I not utilizing that? I've been, doing lives on Facebook all through lockdown and talking to people, almost talking about, lockdown struggles, anxiety struggles, my journey with healing from MS. I already have this kind of captive audience there. So let's start speaking to them, because I'd almost been like, my friend was sort of joking to me and saying, oh, you've been like our little unofficial therapist through lockdown. And I thought, but I am now officially a therapist. So I need to go out there and start actually helping people instead of thinking about it and doubting myself.
In the beginning, did you just do a lot of free sessions, or how did you start to think about productizing it and actually getting paid clients?
I did. So, I talked a little bit about the RTT community and the little family that we had when we were all sort of training together. A lot of us kept in touch, and we actually set up like little study groups and peer groups with each other to discuss client cases, but also to do practice sessions on each other. And I did love that. And actually that gave me the confidence from, doing that afterwards. But as part of the program as well, you do these practice sessions, and they're brilliant. They're really, really good. And you can do, have to do a certain amount to pass the program. But I did a lot more because I was like, practice, practice, practice. And then I got on board friends, family, anyone that I was like, right, what can I help you with? Everything from, anxiety issues, stopping smoking, weight loss. I just threw myself into it, and I did these practice sessions for free for friends and family. And then I was finding, though, that friends and family were saying, oh, I've got a friend or a friend of a friend, and people were referring people to me. And that's when I started to feel confident enough to say, I should be charging for my services now. And I think that sometimes can be a little bit, I don't know, a little bit of a sticking point where you think, oh, when do I start charging for my services? But have that confidence in yourself. Know what your scope of practice is. Know what you're comfortable with. Don't go, completely out of it and accept every client that comes your way. But know that you're worth it. Know that you're trained. You're like incredibly trained through this whole process, through the program. You have the training, you have the knowledge, and you have the skills to do it. You just need to have that confidence in yourself. And I have to say, doing the program as well massively boosted my confidence, because even though I'd started to build that, doing the program, I found was not just giving me the skills to be a therapist, but it was also giving me the confidence to be a therapist, and was really helping me on my life journey as well.
Can you, and this is a funny story for me, but I'm just excited to hear it because I've never asked you this question, but do you remember the first time you asked for someone to pay for your services? Do you remember that story of the first paying client?
I do, because I have always had this thing where I've been like, oh, you should never ask someone for money. And I see a lot of people who work in kind of the therapy world, who work in like the spiritual world, who are like, no, I can't ask for money for my services. And I did find it like kind of awkward, but I thought, you know what? I know that this works. It's worked for me. It's working for the people that I'm working with. And actually, I have to stop thinking about this. I have to start thinking about this rather as a business, because it is a business that I'm running. I'm providing a service. If I was doing someone's nails, or if I was doing hair, or if I was providing PR services, I wouldn't think twice about saying this is the fee that I charge for my time. But I think a lot of people who work in the healing world do find it more difficult to say, yes, well, this is my rate. This is what I charge per session, and asking people for the money. But you have to think about it. Yes, have that empathy for your clients and be supportive with your clients. But You have to know your worth, and you have to know that you are providing a service and you are worthy of that exchange. It's an energy exchange. It's just, that's how I started to look at it, actually, an energy exchange, because I was giving so much energy into my sessions that actually then I needed to get the energy back from the clients. And that energy was money. So I stopped calling it money. It was like an energy exchange for me. And I somehow found it easier to process that then. And it took me a little while, don't get me wrong. But then once you're kind of in the flow of that and you're like, well, no, this is my business, actually. So I need to treat it like a business. I'm helping people, yes, but I'm also worthy of being, recompensed for the services that I'm providing.
Yeah. How many of these practice sessions would you say you did before you started charging for your sessions?
Okay, so when I was training, I think I probably did about 20 practice sessions with people. And then afterwards, after I trained, I probably did about the same, actually. I did about 10 or 15 kind of practice sessions with people. And then when I first started, I did start at a slightly lower rate, just because I was getting people to provide me with testimonials as well. So I found, if I did it at a slightly lower rate, I worked with people, they saw how amazing RTT was and how it was transforming their lives. They were referring me to friends, to their family, and they were giving me, amazing testimonials. So that's really when I started to build my business at that point.
Yeah. So let's skip ahead to now and let's just start to deconstruct this, because I'm really curious your best practices, and I can share a lot from other people that I've met who are really successful in their practice. In the beginning, you did a lot of sessions for friends and family, and then you started to charge. If we fast forward to now, where I know you have a waiting list of people that want to work with you, what's your approach now? So let's say someone messages you and they get into your calendar and they want to see if they work with you. How do you go about that process? How do you determine whether or not you work with them? How do you determine how many times to see them and how much to charge? So what's kind of your best practices building the business now?
Okay, well, I always do a discovery call with every client who sends in sort of any request. And that's usually about a half an hour to 45-minute call where I just get a better idea of, what the issue is in their life, what they're kind of struggling with at the moment. And I think very quickly you can tell whether there's a rapport there or whether there's not. And yeah, so I have that conversation with them about what they want from the session, what the issue is, how I work. I kind of also give them a little flavor of what RTT is all about and kind of explain it and break it down. And how I explain RTT is very simply. So I explain it as the cause of all issues. There's a root cause of all the issues that are holding you back in life, a lot of which we're not consciously aware of. But in hypnosis, obviously, we can speak directly to your subconscious mind. It's your subconscious mind that runs the show, and it knows the answers to everything. It holds the key to everything. So what we do in RTT is we go into hypnosis and we go to that root cause. And we root up the weeds. So that's all the bad things, the bad beliefs, thought patterns, everything that's been holding you back in life. We root up those weeds. We become aware of them. We pull them up like little gardeners. And then what we do is we reframe it. We step back. We look at it as an objective observer. We notice and we acknowledge those things happen to us, but they're not us, not now. And then what we do, the third part of the session, is we plant new seeds. So that's all about the side, and Skip kind of mentioned this earlier about RTT and kind of, being a little bit of, CBT, it takes on CBT, neuro-linguistic programming, and hypnosis. But that's really where the neuro-linguistic programming element comes in, that transformation, that planting those new seeds, because it's rewiring your brain, rewiring your mind for success to help you move forward. And really kind of having that root cause understanding is the power that sets you free, because once you realize where something's come from, it's a lot easier to move forward than if you just use something like, a lot of times I talk about like talk therapy, and it's like a sticking plaster approach where you kind of regurgitate the same things over and over. And it helps you for a little while, but eventually that sticking plaster, it's not quite as sticky anymore, and it comes off, and that pain is still there. You're just masking it. And that's why I loved RTT and why I chose to go into RTT, because it really does get to the root cause. And while it can be, sometimes I have very, very powerful sessions with people, particularly recently, which are very energetically charged and, very emotional. But afterwards, it's the transformation that I see in people is amazing. So when people come to me, yes, I do their discovery call, I explain RTT to them. And then in terms of number of sessions, it really depends on what the issue is. So every person is different. And actually, every approach I have with a client is different. It's tailored to them specifically, because no two people are the same. So everything's very personalized. For like, for example, something quite simple, I might be able to, say to them, right, that probably needs one session, but I never say you'll need one session or you'll need 3 sessions. I always say, we could probably do that in one session, or if it's something more complex, for example, a chronic health condition, I would say you need 3 sessions. And the reason why is because, I mentioned it earlier, it's kind of that root cause where that came from, but then it's all the other things, it's the symptoms and the emotional side of things. So I always separate that into 3 sessions, but it really is the more kind of after that first year of my practice and the more clients I saw, and as I hear Marisa saying a lot about this, she's learned so much from her clients and she learns from them. And that's how she builds on the technique and she builds on her practice. And that's exactly what I've done, because I do a lot of kind of packages for people now, because it does involve more than just RTT. There is coaching element to it. You are speaking to people, so you need to have those listening skills and understanding skills. So yeah, I do a lot of kind of packages for people now, but I tailor things to people just based on what they say to me in that call and as I get to know them, I guess.
Yeah. So it's kind of, and I'm hearing a couple different things. I'm gonna hit some bullet points of what I'm hearing and see if I can kind of deconstruct this for everybody to keep simple. So number one, no one's able to buy sessions from you off of a website or off of social. They have to contact you and do a discovery call. And what I heard from you is the reason you need to do a discovery call with them is to make sure, number one, it's in your scope of practice. Like this person does not have a clinically diagnosed disorder that would make it really scary for you to potentially help them. Yeah. So it's not dangerous, number one, because that's a totally different thing. That's not RTT and what you're going to cover. Number two, you may not get along with this person, or they may be coming in for something that either you don't want to help with because it's just something that is some other specialist that you would refer to someone else in your community that you've built or across the company. And there's 15,000 grads. So there's quite a wide variety of what people are interested in. Like some people may not want to work with someone with an autoimmune disorder, where you would be really comfortable kind of guiding someone through the emotional side of that journey and the subconscious side of that journey, probably working with whatever medical professionals they're also working alongside as you were. So you always do a discussion call or a discovery call to make sure it's a fit and to know exactly what it is the journey they need to go on is. So it sounds like you take a lot of time in that discovery call to maybe do a little bit of an experience of letting them do the talk therapy side of things while you unravel what it is they're actually after. And then once you have a pretty good idea, maybe inside that discovery call, but I'm guessing also in email and in follow-up, you'll say, here's kind of the trajectory of what I think would be good for you. This is about how many sessions, this is what we would work on. And you customize that package for that particular person.
Yeah, exactly that. And sometimes if someone comes to me and they're kind of like, oh, I just want to do one session to see how it pans out, that's where I'll be like, right, okay, we'll set up the one session. And I always do a 21-day follow-up, because obviously 21 days to make a habit, break a habit. You listen to that transformation for 21 days. We do a review. We see what's next. If there is a next, quite often, one session is enough for a lot of my clients. They come to see me and 21 days, they're like, oh my gosh, like my energy has changed. This weight has been lifted off my shoulders. I'm doing really, really well. I still want to listen to the audio that you've done for me. And they go on and they fly. And then sometimes I'll have clients go, yeah, I probably do need that second session that you said I might need, but it's always keeping in contact with clients in between. And I'm always available, by email and WhatsApp as well for clients in between sessions. So I do a 7-day review with them just to check in and say, hi, how are you doing? Are you listening to your audio? Because it's, you have to sometimes keep people accountable as well, because, sometimes even though people want that change, they have to participate in their own recovery as well. They have to listen to that audio. So I check in at 7 days just to say, how are you getting on with, listening to your audio that I've sent you? And I should say the audio is the latter part of the session that I record. And that's the transformation. That's the kind of neuro-linguistic programming, rewiring your mind for success bit. So I give that to my clients. And so I check in with them 7 days just to see how they're getting on. And then I'm available in between for anything. And a lot of people do need a little bit of extra, spurring on and a little bit of coaching and some kind words really to kind of keep them on track. And then I do a big review at 21 days to see, to look at whether they've noticed change, where the changes have been, and whether they do need any other assistance or another session.
And if you could say on average, how long of a journey would you say most of your clients are on with you? So it sounds like they do the session and it's about 21 days to really allow that session to fully sink in. How
Mhm.
long on average does a client stay working with you to work on a variety of things in their life?
Okay, if it's a variety of things, and it's something complex, you could potentially do it in 3 months, but I advise to space it over like a longer period of time, maybe 6 months, because you do find that RTT sessions can be quite sort of energetically charged. And so you might do a session and then 21 days later, you might just not want to do another session immediately. So I always give people that kind of option for how they want to do it. So yes, some people do want to come to me and they're like, no, I want a session now. And then in 21 days, I want to do the review. I want to do a consultation. I want to come straight back and get straight into it. And people get amazing results doing it 3 months, but you have to be in that space and ready to do it. So sometimes, and I can pick up on this as well, having done sessions with clients, I will say to them and I'll advise them, I'll say, look, maybe our next session, let's defer it for a couple of weeks because, that was very energetically charged. And, it can be, very tiring for people, particularly if they are ill or if they're suffering from a health condition, to give them that little bit of breathing space. So that then they come into the second session and they're raring to go and they're like, yes, I'm energized, I'm recharged, I'm ready for the second part of it. But yeah, on average, if I'm doing multiple sessions, 3 to 6 months.
Yeah. With 21 days in general in between each
Always
session.
21 days in between, because the transformation audio that I mentioned, you need to listen to that for 21 days, 21 days to make a habit, break a habit. So if you were to do another session, it would just muddy the waters because you'd have two audios and it just doesn't work as effectively. And ultimately, we're working on different issues here. So you want to get the best results for your clients. So that's why you want to be there to support them, but to also make sure that they're participating in the process as well, and getting the best out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as a component to that, and I know this happened after you graduated, but we now have our accelerator marketing toolkit that helps people figure out what their niche is going to be, how they want to productize their services. So, you had to do this the hard way where you just started going to friends and family. And I'd say there's three ways that anybody gets clients as a practitioner of anything, whether that's RTT, a personal trainer, a nutritionist. If you have a private practice that you book sessions for, there's three ways that anyone gets clients. The number one way, that's the most successful and most profound way, is referrals. You're so good, you've done so much practice, you're so passionate about helping people, and in my opinion, most importantly, you choose the right clientele to
Yes.
serve. If you choose the right people that you're going to have success with, you're going to get incredible referrals. As a quick aside on that, Elise, what would you say the success rate of your sessions and your clients is?
I would say in total, in my 3 years of doing this now, I would say I've only ever had one client who I didn't get the results from. And that was someone that I knew I shouldn't have worked with, because immediately when I did that discovery call, and that would be, heed my words on this, when you know that the energy's not right and you know that the rapport's not there, and if you have that intuition that you're like, something feels off about this, don't take the client on. Don't just take every client that comes to you, because that was my kind of like harsh learning there, because I had this client and I immediately knew he was very, very resistant. He was very dismissive. And I thought, no, I've got to help him. And he had a sleep condition. And I thought, no, I know that I can help him. But actually, underneath it, I thought, no, this isn't a good fit. And actually, he's already fighting against it. So, in hypnosis, you want someone to be in deep relaxation. And he was very agitated. And I thought, no, I should try this. I should try this. But I knew it wasn't right. And it was that moment where I thought, no, this is when you need to know when, you trust your intuition on these things. If it doesn't feel right, don't just take on clients because you feel you should, and because you're trying to help everybody all at once, because it's not the right thing to do, and you won't get the results for your clients then, because they're not participating in their own recovery, and you need them to be there and willing to do the work as well, because you're there to guide them, but they're there to do the hard work. You're just helping them to do that hard work.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, ultimately, it comes down to having that network of people that you can refer out to if necessary, and knowing when to say no. It's really important. I mean, I've heard a lot of stories and I've had a lot of personal experiences booking clients where you know that there's something deeper going on and you need to refer out. But if you just choose the right people and you make sure you're working with the types of people that you want to work with, it'll be really successful and you'll have a great business. So what I just heard you say is in 3 years, you've had one person
Yeah.
in 3 years that
And that was because I
wouldn't
went against
say,
my intuition. Yeah.
yeah. So pretty incredible. And that really speaks to, this isn't magic. This isn't any type of, there's nothing crazy happening here. It's honestly just allowing people who want to get better the tool set and professional hand to get better. These are people who, obviously, if they're going to book sessions, they're coming in because they want change, they want transformation. And then we're just equipping therapists, rapid transformational therapists, with phenomenal tools, a lot of different tools. Well, you may only use 3 or 4 of those tools in a session, right? So you might do something like upgrading the child, you might do a vortex, you might do a cell command therapy, but you're not going to do all of those in one session, right? You're only going to use certain transformations at
Yeah.
the end of a session for certain people. So for you now, how many sessions per week would you say is very sustainable and enjoyable for you to do?
Okay. Well, what I should say is that I work for the company, so I have a full-time job as well. So I run my practice evenings and weekends, which I love because that works for me, and that was always going to be the plan. And I think sometimes when people look at doing RTT, they do have that scary moment of, but could I jump into this full time? And actually, a lot of people don't want to. They want to be able to, have it work around their life. So I do the juggle, and going back to my story, there's no way that I could be doing that 5-6 years ago, because I wouldn't be able to. I wouldn't have the capacity, the brain capacity to do it. So at the moment, what I do is, as well as working full time, I also do my sessions evenings, weekends, like I say. So I comfortably do 3 sessions a week at the moment, 4 sessions sometimes as well. And that just works for me because I feel like I'm dedicating the right amount of time then to my clients. I'm giving them all the energy I need to give to them without overstretching myself, because that's ultimately what you don't want to do. You want to give your clients the best, the best service ever, and you want them to get the success and the results that they want. So I never overstretch myself. So that's why, my calendar gets booked out really quickly, because I'll do a maximum of 4 sessions a week, maybe 5 sessions, and then that's kind of it. But I mean, you could do more, obviously you could do, but I would say just keep within your scope and don't overstretch yourself.
And everybody tends to charge whatever rates are appropriate for their area. How many of your sessions as a percentage would you say are done virtually?
95% of my sessions are done virtually. And the reason why is because obviously I started during lockdown. So my sessions were all virtual at that point. And, the lockdown restrictions took a long time to kind of lift. So again, I just continued doing it. And I just found that actually, I think Marisa and the team were amazing in that they responded to the whole thing with the pandemic amazingly well, because they actually taught you how to do, hypnosis over Zoom. And I was thinking, is this going to be, really super effective? And actually, I find that the sessions that I do, particularly with anxious clients, I actually find I get better results doing it virtually, particularly with anxiety clients or people with low self-confidence, because they're in the comfort of their own home. They're able to just chill and relax. And so when they're speaking to me, they don't have that answer of, I've got to go and, get in the car, I've got to drive somewhere, I've got to get on the train, the bus, and then get into a strange place where they've never been before. It's very difficult if you've suffered from anxiety, as a lot of you will probably know if you've suffered from anxiety, to even get yourself to that place. Whereas I was finding, even though, I've had a lot of people over the years with suffering from anxiety, and I get it myself, my own personal experience, that, come to you, and they're just like, I'm worried about this, I'm worried about, but it's very easy to kind of talk to them about it. I always send all my clients before they come to me, every client now, actually, I used to only do it with my anxious clients, but I do it with every client now. I record a relaxation audio for them so that they get to know the sound of my voice, and it gives them a little bit of a flavor of what an RTT session is going to be like as well. So it seems less daunting, but no, I would say that, Zoom hypnosis works just as well. And like I say, for certain people, I think it works even better at a distance because they have that comfort of their own home and they feel more generally relaxed, as you do.
And from a referral standpoint, I'm going to pick up a thread that I was talking about maybe 10 minutes ago already. So picking this tangent back up, there's 3 ways that anybody gets clients. Number 1 is referrals. And obviously, if you can get referrals as all of your business, that means that you're doing a fantastic job at not only picking the right clients, but setting the right expectations to turn them into the right clients. which is also a big thing. You might have someone that comes on that says, I want all of my life's problems solved in 30 minutes with you. And you've got to set the right expectations and make sure to have that
Absolutely.
conversation with them on, yes, it is rapid and transformational, and one session can make a lifetime of difference for people, but making sure that you can really break down. And that's, I mean, we teach this extensively in the program as far as how to do a really effective client intake, which is tool number one. I mean, that actually might be the most important tool of all the tools in RTT. And I see in the chat here, we're talking about, and I see this on the website all the time, where it's a combination of NLP and CBT and affirmations and hypnosis. And it's just RTT, right? And it takes elements of a lot of different
Yeah.
elements of therapy and elements of hypnotherapy, but knowing that it just is RTT, it really has become its entirely own thing, because each of the tools has been refined so extensively. And I've talked to the faculty a lot about it, and we just have fun playing with the variations within each tool. So there's a lot in there. The second way that people get clients, which Elise referenced, is social. So the various social media platforms, emails as well, I would count in there, but organic strategies. And that really comes down to telling phenomenal stories and being able to effectively communicate what it is you help people with. And like Elise she did a lot of practice sessions with a lot of people before she started charging. And this is very common and really the best way to go about doing it, so that you get a lot of stories that you can share and tell, not just your own story, but that is powerful as well. And I'm sure you get lots of people who have heard your personal story. So yeah, I wonder for you, before your business was completely referral based, what did you do on social? What was the most successful thing, and which platform did you enjoy sharing on that got you clients?
I was just really honest. I told my story. I didn't dress it up in any way. I didn't ever present myself as this, perfect therapist. I said, I'm a real human being who was really ill. I got myself well. I used RTT as part of that healing journey. And now I help other people myself. And I really spoke very, very rawly and openly about it, because I really do believe that your story is your USP. And, when I look back now and I think 6-7 years ago, I was really ill and I was in this pit of despair and I was very, very unhappy. And I just thought my life was over. Actually, fast forward, and I'm using that experience now, that life experience that I've had, to help other people. And it's your story. That's your USP, your story. So don't be afraid to say, I really struggled, or, this is what happened to me. I was depressed, because actually I really believe that your struggles and your story is your superpower as a therapist, because that's how people relate to you. People relate to you because, I was doing lives, and I used, ultimately, like, the main thing that I used when I first started was Facebook. And that's because I'd kind of just done lives on Facebook previously, when I was working in network marketing. And I was just telling stories about my day-to-day struggles. Like today I was in the supermarket and I had like a real panic attack, and I dropped all my shopping and my groceries and stuff, and I had to leave, and it was awful. And I can't continue like this. I need to find something to fix this. And I talked about things that I tried. I talked about, videos that I watched. I talked about books that I'd read. And so I built this little following of people kind of going, me too, I guess. And I thought lots of people are kind of struggling with this. So then when, I did qualify as a therapist, which was an absolute dream realized, like I say, 20 years ago, left, university as a naive psychology graduate, wanting to help people and save the world, and thought, I can't do it. I had this experience, I had lots of life experience in lots of different areas, in terms of relationships and toxic relationships, in terms of my health, in terms of working in highly pressurized environments. And I just thought, actually, this is my experience. This is what's going to help people, because, they can relate to it. And it's all about being relatable. And some people will get your story and it'll resonate with them, and some people won't. And that's absolutely fine, because it's your story, and you'll be attracting the right clients by telling your story, because it'll resonate with them and they'll say me too, or they'll say not for me, and move on. And so really that's the biggest piece of advice that I can say. Don't try and be someone else. Don't try and emulate anyone else. Like, I do obviously some of the videos for the RTT YouTube channel, and a couple of times I have been guilty of, like, Skip saying to me, stop trying to be Marisa, because she's the queen, and everybody wants to be Marisa, but you have to be you, and don't be ashamed to be you, and don't be ashamed to say, I struggle. And I recently did a YouTube video about this, actually, with one of our RTC coaches. And we talked exactly about that, about how you don't need to be perfect to be a therapist. In fact, it's your flaws that make you flawsome. It's these things that it's your experience that helps you to be empathetic with clients. So don't think you have to be like a polished, finished product. We're all a work in progress. We always are. But yeah, bring that. You don't have to be the finished product. You don't have to be perfect. So don't think that, oh, I've got so many problems in my life, or I've got so many issues to solve that I can't do this. Because actually, when the program really massively helps you as well, and as you go through the program, it's just great for like personal development as well. It transformed my levels of confidence and stuff as well. Yes, of course, I'm not perfect. I've got plenty of issues in my life and stuff now, but I've accepted them. It's self-acceptance. It's accepting that, we are like flawed, but we're flawsome. And that's your superpower, I think, as a therapist, is just telling your story and using those vulnerabilities as a way to reach out to people and empathize with them.
Yeah. So last question here, and then we'll get to Q&A and start answering a lot of these really good questions that have been coming up lately. In the sales conversation, so let's say someone knows who you are, they've either read a story on social, they've been referred to you by someone, you get them in the discovery session, you decide that they're a good fit. What are your best practices? Because this could work for if anyone on here, if you have any clients in any sort of one-on-one profession or group profession, what has been your most successful strategies, and what do you think about when it comes to presenting the price and helping someone get over the hurdle of actually committing to a journey of transformation and paying for sessions?
Okay. At first, I was very hesitant, and I would have the calls with them and I would talk about, whether it was a good fit for the clients and what I could provide and whatever. And then I would kind of scaredly back off and be like, so I'll send you an email summarizing what we've just spoken about and, the details of the price afterwards. And I would really cringe about it, and I wouldn't raise that. But actually, I do now. I tell people straight out. I tell them all about RTT, discuss everything with them. And I'm very open about, how much I charge, how many sessions I think they might need, but also, saying this is like us working together. So we'll sort this out as we go along, and being very transparent about it. And then also following up with the email afterwards that I'm not ashamed or afraid now to say, this is what I charge per session, or this is what I charge for a package. And it's their decision to make then ultimately, that's it. So like I say, it's an energy exchange, it's services provided. And of course you want to help everybody. And I think I'm probably, when I first started, very I just want to help everyone. And I want, everybody to be able to afford this. And I just want to be able to give this free. But, I'm in a very privileged position now where my practice is so busy that I am able to do sessions for people who I know really need it pro bono. And that for me is an ultimate dream realized, that I'm able to do that. And I my heart is full of gratitude that I'm able to help more people because of that, just because of the success of my day-to-day practice now.
Wow. So something I'm going to summarize for Elise right there, for everybody in the call right now, is that not every therapist starts at a super high price point. Elise started very low and then worked her way up to where now she's got a waiting list. And because she charges what she charges, and I'll ask her that question in a second, she is now able to, with her dual career of kind of going back to PR and what she did before, but doing it in a way that's far more sustainable, more fun, more enjoyable for her, that doesn't create burnout. And she has all the tools from her training to help deal with any of the stresses of that work. And of course, she gets to do that for RTT, which is amazing. But then she also has her therapist career where she gets to see clients, but she doesn't have to see 20 clients a week. She doesn't even have to see 10 a week. She sees 5, but she can charge more for that. And because she can charge more and have this level of income for herself, she can give pro bono sessions to people that she feels really need it, that maybe can't afford the rates that she charges now. So she has that privilege because she's become so successful that she can now be really generous like that, which is a beautiful goal, I think, for anyone. If that's something you feel called to, I would love to do that. So Elise, what are your normal session prices now? And do you do package prices or just per session?
I do per session. I charge £200 per session. And with packages, I completely tailor packages to the client. So no two packages for me are the same. I don't just go, oh, I sell 3 sessions and you get a discount of X amount. I tailor it per client because I really listen to what it is that they need. I listen to their needs and their wants, and I will tailor something specifically for them. So yeah, so that's kind of, it took me a little while to get there, but you know, it's like knowing your worth and knowing that the skills you're providing, you know, are really helping people, and people need that help and they want their help and they need more RTT therapists. And going back to what you were saying about the kind of juggle that I do, obviously like working full time, but doing my practice. So I'll give you a bit of like the reasoning behind that. So when I first started my full-time job, you know, I was just building my practice. And for me, as a single mum to a 10-year-old, I needed that security of still having that income there while I was building my practice. So, you know, potentially now I could move away and I could do my practice full time. But actually, I find that working here like gives me the best of both worlds. And why does it give me the best of both worlds? Because obviously I'm continuously learning, because, you know, the tools are growing and advancing. So I'm part of that. The support and the training and stuff as well is also there for me. I'm still part of that kind of graduate alumni group. But also the big thing for me is shouting from the rooftops how amazing RTT is. And, you know, working in the job that I do, that's what I get to do. I get to shout about how amazing RTT is and how, you know, Marisa's transformed the lives of millions of people around the globe, and that the RTT training program, you know, is producing these amazing graduates who are going out and helping so many people. So they kind of go hand in hand, I guess, because I'm like shouting about RTT and how great it is, and then I'm delivering it. So it just works beautifully. And I love that. And I think a lot of people kind of want that as well. You know, they don't want to go out straight away, or they don't want to run the practice as a full-time thing. And they've got a busy life. You know, if you're a mum, if you're a parent, you know, you do, it is a juggle. And I love the fact that my practice does fit around my life. You know, I schedule my client sessions around my son. So it works really well. But I really do feel like I have the best of both worlds.
Yeah, amazing. So on average, I would say across the spectrum of graduates that are, graduates in rapid transformational therapy, they see between 3 sessions a week for people who have like full-time jobs on the side where they're still doing the thing they're passionate about and have added RTT into it, all the way up to, I've heard as much as 30 sessions a week, which sounds like a ton to me. But some people are just really ambitious and they just devour sessions, and it's what they're really meant here to do. And they just feel really passionate about it. Most people sit in that sweet spot. They do somewhere in that realm of 10 to 20 sessions per week. And they charge somewhere between, I would say 200 to 300 in their local currency or US equivalent. Elise, what do you charge for individual sessions and packages now?
So I do £200 for an individual session. And like I say, I tailor my packages, you know, considering my clients. And that can be a combination of kind of RTT and coaching, or it can be a 3 to 6 month RTT package session. But yeah, I tailor it to their needs. You know, it's listening to people in that discovery call and seeing what they need from you, because everyone's different and every client I have has different needs.
Yeah, absolutely. So last thing, when it comes to niching, what do you recommend people do? Is it the thing that they've been through themselves, or is it the thing that they most want to help others with? Because sometimes those can be different. But in your experience of going through and working with a lot of different therapists and discussing it, what's the best practice?
I would say kind of follow your own life experience, because that just naturally fits. So for example, if you've had addiction issues before, then you'd be, you know, your niche as an addiction therapist would be a great call, because you've got that. I wouldn't be able to do that, actually. I don't really deal with a lot of people with addictions because I don't have that personal experience to add to it. So I refer them to people. And for example, you know, people that work with, I don't take on sessions with children because I refer them to a fantastic RTT therapist that I work with who specifically like works with children. So I would say use your life experience, but if there's something that you're really passionate about, it doesn't necessarily need to be you either. You know, for example, one of my RTT therapist friends, her mum had a chronic health condition. So while she didn't live that herself, she lived it through her mum, and she saw that was, going on with her mum. And she was like, oh my gosh, I really want to help people like this because I saw my mum struggle. I've been helping her with RTT. So don't just think about it as your personal story. Yes, your personal story, I would say absolutely follow that because that's your experience. And like I say, that's your superpower. But think about, life around you as well. Where have you contributed? Where have you helped? What is your passion about? Because you've got to be passionate about it. There's no point saying, I want to niche in smoking if you've never smoked in your life, because you can't relate to people that have smoked. You can't, of course, you can deliver a brilliant RTT session on it, but if you can't relate to smoking cravings and things like this, then I think it just makes it a little bit more difficult.
Yeah. So I've got an exercise that I want to walk everybody through who's on the call. And this is something I've actually never done on a webinar before, but I thought this would be really valuable and interesting to just get an idea of how to start sharing your story. And it's a format that I teach every summer. I teach media at sort of a pop-up university program. And maybe some of you on this call have actually attended a course because I see a couple names that I recognize there. But also, just so you know, I know we're going a little bit over time. So can the team drop the link into here? If anyone currently wants to learn more about the program, learn more about the Accelerator Marketing Toolkit that teaches more of the business and niching side, you can book a call with someone on the team to get all of your questions answered. I'm going to have lots of time for Q&A. Yep, Katarina is here in the chat and she's been to my classes. That's wonderful. So I'm going to teach a little way that you can start telling stories here. And this doesn't have to be for your RTT business. It could be for anything. If you want to tell a compelling story, this is a phenomenal format to follow. And I've taught this to Elise before as well. So we're going to go ahead and test this out on this webinar and see how you guys all like it. So I've used this particular storytelling format to generate hundreds of millions of views across many different platforms and many different businesses. And all it really is a structure of how you can put together any story to create, let's call it a powerful call to action at the end, where if you're trying to inspire someone to change. So the format is DFR. And so if you're ever going to try to generate clients in an organic way, this format's going to be really useful for you. So DFR, I'll put it in the Zoom chat for everybody, but it's called Dream Fall. Oh, there you go, Raj. Thanks for that. It's called Dream Fall Resolution. The dream is what you hoped life would be like. So if I was going to take Elise's story a little bit, it'd be she wanted to become this extremely high-powered executive. And I'm not going to tell her whole story because then I would run through the format, but she wanted to become this high-powered executive, wanted to create a beautiful life for her and her son. And she wanted to live in central London and just be, a bad A, right? And just be awesome. And I know Elise well, so I can infer some of these things. The fall was that she got super burnt out and that career is not anything like she expected it would be. And it got so bad that she actually got diagnosed by a medical professional, not an RTT person, with multiple sclerosis, which is a very, very serious diagnosis. And bear in mind that she's a very young child at this point. All of those dreams were completely dashed. Everything turned down. Everything suddenly went black and white and raw. And she wasn't sure what was going to happen next. It must have been a very, very scary moment for her. And then as the diagnosis from that medical professional settled in, it must have gotten scarier and scarier to hear those stories of what they said life was going to become for her and how challenging she thought life would be. And at the same time, knowing with her son, could she be the mother that she wanted to be? Would she be able to take care of him on her own? And that must have been really scary and really challenging. And so in the fall, the important part of the dream is that you really build up the dream as beautiful and as bright as it can be. And that the fall is as low as you can go and really help people empathize with you on what's challenging in that historical past. And you don't have to do this for your own story. You can do it for client stories as well. Assuming they gave you permission to use their story, you can change names and you can change little details if they need to. But you can use this format to tell any story. So if you're doing a testimonial as well, you can coach them on how to do this. So paint the dream as big and bright as it can be, as amazing and beautiful as it can be, this dream life with her son living in central London. And then the fall, as dark as it can get, and really help them empathize. And particularly try to pick one moment in your fall. Pick the darkest moment of that time where people can really feel you and understand what you were going through and maybe empathize with their own situations, because everyone's had challenging moments. And then finally, slowly get into that fall and then show us the door opening a little bit, a little crack of the light opening of how things were going to get better. And then slowly take us out into the resolution, which is the R. What did you start to do that started to transform? So for Elise, she had her son go to that school, and then she had a lot of alone time, and it got even darker. And she was like, nope, this can't be my life. And she started getting into that network marketing company. And then she started doing personal development. And then she found Marisa, and it was like a light bulb went on. And slowly her life got better and better. And then she signed up for the RTT training, and then it really accelerated for her. And that's when her life got better and better and better. And then she started seeing people for free, started seeing profound transformations, and then got her first paying client, got a referral where she had the courage to ask them to pay for the session. And they did. And it was amazing and it was wonderful. And then she got more people. And then she charged a little bit more and got more people and charged a little bit more and started sharing her story more and practicing, talking with other rapid transformational therapists, was working with the company, was doing all these things back in PR, feeling so much better from her MS diagnosis years before, biomedical professional, and started doing all of these things. And now she's here on this webinar, and she's been on YouTube videos for the company, and she's doing so well in so many things. And I'm so grateful to have her in the company. And she's just a shining beacon of light, as you can all see on this call. So DFR, what is the dream? What was the thing someone thought their life would become? Paint the most beautiful moment that you can remember in that dream moment where you thought everything was going to go well before a fall happened. And then what was the fall moment? What was the really challenging thing that happened? And then finally, what was the resolution? How did you slowly pull yourself out of that? And what has your life become now? And what people will do is will associate with that journey and find themselves in that journey, whether it's your story or a client's of yours. And it'll be, beautiful. It'll be wonderful. Elise, does that sound kind of like what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why now I'm living my life purpose. I'm here, I'm doing it. And that's the difference. And yes, I'm very busy, probably busier than I was when I was working in, chaotic, stressful work environment. But the difference is that I love doing what I do now. I'm really passionate about it. I know that I'm making a difference to my life, my son's life, and the lives of so many other people. And I won't stop like shouting how amazing, rapid transformational therapy is from the rooftops, because yeah, it is. It's changed my life, and it's changing the lives of so many others. So I can't recommend it enough. And we just need more therapists out there now, spreading the word and helping more people, because, I see so many people around there that need it.
Yeah. And so from a business side of all of this, I'm currently working on putting in so many educational modules on how to build things like this dream fall resolution format into your storytelling for your business. We're working on putting together so many other sales conversations and helping people understand how to do the sales in their business, because ultimately we want 250,000 rapid transformational therapists out in the world, because that's about how many it's going to take to serve the population of Earth to just live a more beautiful life. And the whole goal of rapid transformational therapy and our company is for everyone to feel enough for everything that they want in their life. So the question for you is, and maybe type this in the chat, do you feel enough? Do you feel like you deserve everything that you want? Yeah. Really nice, Carolyn. Elle says not yet. Yeah. Scott says yes. Carolyn says it's getting better. Beautiful. Yeah. Cindy. Oh, look at all these people that feel enough. That's so amazing. It's so amazing, everybody. Okay, breaking the trance of unworthiness. Yeah.
And that
That's
was me for
wonderful.
many years as well. Just to say, Skip, I didn't feel enough. I didn't feel worthy of success. And actually, when I mentioned kind of watching Marisa's videos, one of the things that I did do was I did the I Am Enough program. That was kind of my intro before I started to train for RTT. And actually, I think that was the push that gave me the confidence and the self-worth and the self-belief to say, yes, I can be a therapist. So yeah, I did that IMNF program. It was amazing, transformed everything, and gave me that last little push to go, yeah, I'm going to go and be a therapist now.
Yeah, so amazing. If Elise's story inspired you today, and if you learned some things today, go ahead and put it in the chat. Just say, maybe I love you, Elise. Just go ahead and type I love you, Elise, in the chat if this was really helpful and you learned some things today. And we're going to have some time for Q&A in just a minute here. I just want to get Elise some love here. Oh,
Oh, thank you guys. It's always nice.
oh,
Yeah, and you, Skip. We all love you.
oh, amazing. That's so wonderful. So my homework for all of you, by the way, and I don't have any way of checking this, but there will be some version of me that's around you. Make sure to do your DFRs, do a little practice, do a little practice session on your dream fall resolution story and start seeing how you can share stories, even if it's not to build your RTT business yet. Maybe you're going through the training or you want to go through it in the future. If it's to inspire someone to drink more water, there's a way to tell a DFR to help them drink more water. I'll give you an example. Are you ready for this? So last year, I was building this world-class event called Wonder Soul Festival. And in the process of building it, I was also training handstands for 90 minutes a day. And every single day, I got a little bit better until I had a 10-second handstand. And one day, I went to the gym. And the first time I tried to do something, I suddenly felt like I wanted to throw up. I had nausea. It was the strangest thing. And so I just didn't do anything that day. And then the next day, I went into the gym and I tried to do something and I got nauseous immediately. And it was this really tough feeling on my body where suddenly I'm building this really big project. I'm doing all these things and my body is literally shutting down before my eyes. And for 6 days in a row, I couldn't do anything. So it was really starting to scare me. And at this point, I'm, 32 years old, is getting scary. I don't know what's happening. And so every single day, day 6 came, day 7 came, day 8 came, and it was just tougher and tougher. And I was trying all the things to try to get better and nothing was working. And then one day I reached out to some friends to say, who could help me with this? Who could help me figure out what's going on with my body? And everyone kept recommending this hydration expert. His name was Barton, and he's a good friend of mine. So I reached out to him, and turns out he had this company that does these nano minerals. And he also happens to live in the city that I live in. So an hour later, I was going to a restaurant and recognized Barton sitting outside. I never met him before, but I went and introduced myself, and he on the spot gave me some of these minerals that would help me with hydration. And I took them. And the next day I went in to go do my handstands and I felt completely normal. Like nothing had happened. Like the past 8 days of me struggling and getting really worried about my health had just vanished overnight. Just drinking more water and taking some minerals that would help me hydrate even better. And then I went on and I had this really successful event. Hundreds of people showed up and it was incredible. I got my 20-second handstand and life has been great ever since. There's probably some things in that story that now you'd want to learn about, right? Because it was just a dream fall resolution. And so you can do this with anything to teach people how to consume anything. So it's really just a way to tell stories effectively. Anyways, so for those of you that are really inspired and want to learn how to become a rapid transformational therapist, the team is going to drop links in the chat. You don't have to sign up if you book that call. However, you can get all your different questions answered and you can talk with the team, get everything sorted. The Rapid Transformational Therapy virtual program that Elise was referencing that she got trained in, that comes with a lot of different business support. So there's the Accelerator Marketing Toolkit that you get access to about halfway through the course. Most people take 6 months to 12 months to actually complete the course, but it's a little bit different for everybody. I know people who have done it in 4 months and they're just really passionate about it and into it. So it's kind of case by case at your own basis. There's online modules and there's a lot of virtual classrooms. We have lots of different education all around the internet where you can learn about the programs and what it all entails. But this one, I just really wanted to talk about business and Elise's story to building a successful business, because the more successful hypnotherapists we have, the better it's going to be for the world, getting up to our 250,000 people around the world that are trained rapid transformational therapists all over the world in different countries, most of them serving clients virtually, some of them serving people in person. It's really, really beautiful. As far as where you can learn more about DFR, unfortunately, the only way you're going to learn more about that right now is to be in the Rapid Transformational Therapy training, because I have not publicized that a lot. Although I'm sure you could dig up some really old videos on YouTube with me in it somewhere. So make sure to book a call with the team. I know there's not a lot of slots available right now. We've got so many people that are joining the school and the faculty, and I'm really excited to meet all of you again and again. And I hope to hear your DFRs in the future. So if you do come into a future webinar, maybe you can just copy paste it and send it to like hosts and panelists. You don't have to share it with everyone. It'd be nice to hear your stories and what you've come up with. And if you do join us in the school and become a rapid transformational therapist, maybe I'll get to see your DFR in the future and do some business workshopping with you. It would be a dream come true to hear about. This webinar was the start of your journey to becoming someone who will go out and grow and transform the world. So to give some clarity on the training program, I'm seeing questions in here. The program, the virtual classroom version of the program, which there's a lot of virtual classroom interaction. There's a lot of online modules as well. You know, you've got to do some of the prerequisites to getting into the virtual classroom. So there's about give or take 4 weeks of online modules that most people do before they attend their first virtual classroom. Sometimes it takes a bit longer. Sometimes it's a bit shorter. And that version of the program is just under 10,000 US. So it's 9,750 for that version of the program. We do our own payment plan, so you can book a call with the team and kind of sort that out and what's going to be ideal for you. We try to make as many options as possible. And that's the starting point for the virtual classroom program. We have a optional live option that you can add on. We've got 5-day live trainings that are around the world. You do these in addition to the virtual classroom. So everyone does that 6 to 12 month virtual classroom option, but then you have the option to attend one of these 5-day live trainings. And those range in price depending on where they're at in the world, but you can ask all of those questions on the call to the person. You can also upgrade to that later. So if you don't want to do that right out of the gate, although I highly recommend it to save your spot because those do sell out, you can always start with the virtual classroom. And then as you fall more and more in love with the process, with your community, and with the various teachers and educators, you can upgrade to that later. If that is really a really big task for you, but you really feel called to this journey, we have a program called the Certificate in Applied Hypnotherapy, which I'm looking at renaming at some point in the future to be way more exciting sounding. And that one is around a $3,000 program. The great part about that program is it teaches you just the hypnotherapy aspect, the hypnosis aspect of the RTT training. So you really get specialized in that. And it gives you a different structure of how you would deliver a hypnosis session rather than a full-blown rapid transformational therapy session. It doesn't have as many tools. It's a little bit less complex, and it's a shorter program. And whatever you pay for that program, we take off the cost of going and doing the full rapid transformational therapy training later. So the RTT training is 9,750, which you can add on a 5-day live training if you want somewhere in the world, if you want to see Marisa work in person. And then if you can't do that program, but you still want to do something, you can do the Certificate in Applied Hypnotherapy, which is sort of the junior program to RTT, but still allows you to professionally see clients if you graduate at the end of it. You just do only the hypnosis sessions part of it. And in RTT, you learn all of the hypnosis sessions as well and how to do that. But you learn a lot more in addition to that. So make sure to book a call with the team if you're interested in becoming a professional. And let's get over to some more Q&A. Elise, did you find anything that you want to answer?
I'm just looking through some of the questions now. I think there was a question I saw a little while back saying, oh, I just don't know whether I can do this. Yes, you can. If you're on this call and you're watching it, please, you know, you've got to take a chance. You've got to take chances in life on things. If this is resonating with you and if you feel like this, you know, is something that you want to do, you can do it. If you've got the passion there, you'll find that everything else just follows and it becomes very, very easy. Think about the, you know, things that you like to do, like listening to music, playing music. If you're a musician, for example, the more you practice, the better you get. And the more you love to do it, so you do it more. It's exactly the same thing. So there's never been a better time than right now. I'm sure that's a song lyric.
Absolutely. I'm seeing regarding the one unsuccessful client that you had, Can you elaborate on that a little bit? So you said when you first had that discovery call, you knew there was something off. You knew, like, you had a feeling that it
Yeah.
wasn't going to be an ideal fit.
Yeah, definitely. And like on reflection now, obviously I should have never taken that session on, but I just wanted to help him. It was a guy who basically had a lot of issues with insomnia, really, really bad insomnia. And I think as a result of that, as you would be, he'd not slept properly in about 20 years. He was very agitated, very irritated. And I went through all of the discovery session as I would with him, and I set up the session with him. And then when we actually went into the session, I was saying, right, do you want to relax? Lie down, relax. No, I don't want to lie down. And he didn't want to lie down. And then I said, right, you can't, you want to put your laptop to the side because you can't. No, I want to keep it on my lap. And I was like, we need to get you calm and relaxed and comfortable. And instantly, it was at that point where I knew that it wasn't going to work because, he was so resistant. And I actually said to him, do you really want to go through with this session? Do you want me to help you? Well, and as soon as he kind of said that, I said, we're probably not the best fit to work together. I wish you all the best. And I was very polite about it. But, that's, you will get the old person like that. But like I say, in 3 years, I've had one person who was like that. I have had people that have come to me initially quite skeptical, but, I find that what I do with them is just, I talk them through the process. I talk them through how RTT works. I dispel the myths because a lot of people come to me like, oh, is it like, what if you can't come out of hypnosis or, and there are still a lot of myths, I guess, that kind of float around and people can be a little bit apprehensive. But once you know your stuff, this program teaches you everything that you need to know. So you can talk really confidently to clients and you can break it down and you can explain it in your own way. And that's, exactly like what I do. Like as I sort of mentioned earlier, I describe it as the pulling out the weeds and planting the new seeds, because I find that that's the easy way to kind of explain it. But some people want to know, well, what is it rooted in and what, is it influenced by, and want the more kind of detailed explanation. So it is, every client is different. Every approach you have with clients is different. But if you are speaking to someone and you're already picking up a bad vibe, I would say, trust your intuition on that one and know that maybe that's not the right client for you.
Yeah, beautiful. There are payment plans. So when you book your call, you can go through all of that with the team to see what works for you and what program would be best to start with. So if you have any really specific questions that we don't get to on this webinar right now, you can always ask those questions on that call and get all of your different, like very specific, sometimes country specific questions with different people. I see Peter says he's going to start in December or January. That's so wonderful. Really excited to have you in one of the classrooms soon. Let's see.
I've seen a
A
lot of
lot of
people
people
asking how long sessions are as well, Skip. So I'll just quickly, but because that kind of like informs how many sessions I do a week. So for a session, my sessions tend to be between an hour and a half and 2 hours. So that's why I do kind of only do maybe like 5 sessions maximum a week, because I'm doing them in the evenings. So, I finish up at work, I take a break, and then maybe I'll do a 2-hour session. So yeah, and they can be, very energetically charged. So that's another thing as well. Make sure you have that wind down time after to factor that in, and make sure you're doing self-care as a therapist as well, because that's so, so important.
Yeah, self-care is extremely important as an RTT, because sometimes, and you get to pick your clients and you get to pick who you work with, but there are really deep things that are going on with these people.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I would describe myself as a natural empath. I do kind of pick up on people's kind of feelings and emotions. And it took me a little while to be able to process that myself and to realize that actually after a session where I've helped someone, I also need to help myself, and I actually need to decompress a little bit and not just kind of come off the call and be like, right, I'll just go to bed. No, it's all about make sure you are looking after yourself, make sure you're drinking plenty of water, make sure that you're continuing to do the work on yourself as well and having that time for you. It's really important. And it gets, it means that you give the best to your clients as well, because you're relaxed, you're energized, and you're, raring to go.
Okay. We could probably do one more question, everybody. Maybe type any questions that we haven't answered just in the most recent part of the chat, because Elise and I have to go and do our rapid transformational coaching education. We're both in the program right now, so we've got to go do that in just a couple minutes here. A lot of people are asking where they can find you, Elise, on the interwebs. The Rapid Transformational Therapy YouTube channel, Elise has a a really good amount of content, and she's so wonderful, and a lot of guided hypnosis for anxiety and healing and other things, which is wonderful. Let's see. How long does certificate take? On average, the certificate, so the junior program to RTT, takes 3 to 4 months on average for people. Someone said they're looking for an RTT therapist, and how do they find a good one? We have what do we call it, Elise?
It used to be called Find a Therapist. I'm not sure exactly what it's called now, but it is on the Marisa Peer website. There is a little tab on there that you can click and fill out a little form, and it tells you about RTT therapists in your area. If you're looking for an RTT with a specialism, for example, it'll give you an RTT therapist that works in that specialism. So it's really good. It's just this little mini form that you need to fill in, and then you click it, and then it gives you results of all those therapists in your area. But like I say, I work remotely, so I work with clients across the world as well, which is amazing. So at the moment, I've got clients in Australia, a lot of American clients, a lot of clients I seem to have a lot of clients in Italy at the moment as well, but across Europe. So I really have worked with, kind of globally, which is great. And that's the beauty of working kind of online.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I see Ariel, who's been going through a lot of the chat with Laura, just dropped the professional listing link. So that's where you can go if you're trying to find someone across the world of who actually does RTT sessions around you, or someone that's a specific niche for you. Raj asked, is it open enrollment? I'm assuming you mean for the certificate junior program. It is open enrollment, and there are specific classes that you'll attend when you go into that course, but you'll get all of that communication. Number one, on the call if you book with one of our team, and number two, once you join that program, they'll be in communication with you. For RTT, it's open, and also there's a specific series of virtual classrooms that you're going to go through that are all assigned dates, but it doesn't matter when you sign up, you'll still go through this series. And it's every month there's a new iteration of that series. So it's just every 30 days or so, there's the virtual classrooms that restart so that everyone can go through in sequential order. So you're not doing something really advanced when you're brand new. Let's see. I'll take one more. Oh yeah. So someone asked if they're already a hypnotherapist, but they want to learn RTT. Yeah. So you'll see, as a hypnotherapist, you might have certain skills that can help you become a better RTT professional. However, RTT has so many components to it that really it is its own distinct technique. It's a lot more than most hypnotherapy programs include as far as the different things that you're going to need to learn. Elise, do you want to comment on that?
Sorry, say that again, Skip. My connection just dropped out a little bit then.
Someone's asking if they already have a hypnotherapy certification. Will that help them with RTT, or should they do RTT?
I think RTT is different to kind of normal hypnotherapy, I would say. So having that knowledge and background of hypnotherapy will definitely really help you, because you'll be aware of the certain hypnotherapy techniques. But RTT, I would say, is I describe it as a much deeper version of hypnotherapy, because we really are kind of going deep. And it's not just about the hypnotherapy side of things, it's about that toolbox. And that toolbox really is your superpower. Your story and that toolbox is your superhero power in terms of therapy, because like Skip was saying, 13 tools, 16 now apparently, and I use different ones for different sessions. So everything from, self-manned therapy I use for a lot of people with health conditions. There's a technique called role, function, purpose, intention, which I use a lot on people, which I find is very good as well for kind of people that are kind of emotionally healing and physical healing as well. Inner child work, child in the room. There's lots of different techniques to do with RTT, and it really is having that toolbox and having the knowledge and the skills to know which ones are going to work with your clients and which one's going to help you to get the best results for your clients. And that's what I love about it, because it's almost like a pick and mix. You tailor your sessions completely to your clients. So it goes beyond hypnotherapy, I would say, with RTT, because it just gives you this tool belt of amazing tools that you can use to get the very best results for your clients.
Amazing. Elise and I need to run to go do our RTC class. Really excited to see everybody. Make sure to book your call in some time that's convenient for you. Make sure it's in your time zone. I know we have a lot of issues with people who get their calls booked in weird time zones. So just double check that it's accurately predicting your time zone and that it's a time that's really great for you. And I'm really excited for you to meet the team. For those of you that booked the call, they're all wonderful people that I get to spend a lot of time with. Thank you, everybody, for being so helpful and encouraging in the chat. It's really, really great. Thanks, Caroline,
Thank
so
you.
much. And thanks, Raj, for all the great questions, and hope to see all of you very, very soon. And thanks so much, Elise, for sharing so much extremely personal business information with everybody here and sharing all your best practices so that we can have a lot of really successful rapid transformational therapists helping people around the world.
Yeah, exactly. Together we can change the world, guys. It really is transformational, rapid transformational therapy. It does what it says on the tin, and it's amazing. And it won't just help you transform the lives of others, but transform your own life too. So go for it.
Amazing. Thanks, everybody. Make sure to
Thanks,
book your
everybody.
call and
Bye.
see you soon.